Hey, welcome to the show, homies. This is part 2 of the first-time homebuyers ultimate playbook. It's time to get you practical, actionable activities that you could start today so you can get closer to your goal of buying your first home. Let's rock.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, my How to Buy a Homies? I'm Coach David Sidoni. Now, in part 1, I broke down the philosophy that's produced tens of thousands of first-time homebuyer championship trophies. Man, I really hope that you listen to that first part or that metaphor is not going to make any sense to you. Here's what's going down. In 20 years of the first-time homebuyer game, I've been sharing secrets with buyers, and now I'm sharing them with you to show you the winning path. This is part 2 of the playbook. Let's get right into it. Part 1, that was the motto. Building your rent replacement strategy. And now it's time to give you all the plays inside the playbook. Now, these plays all operate on a system. Sports teams have a style of play or a system. Basketball's got the triangle offense. Football has, West Coast offense, cover 2 defense. Baseball's got small ball. And, if sports ball isn't your thing, then, I don't know, the Harry Potter world has a spell casting system. I just made that up. I'd call it wandish twirliosis. In general, it's an overall style for everything that you do that goes with your motto, a system. And the system for first-time homebuyers, that's called the Last Lease Ever. It's a clear, simple, customized program that can help most renters prepare to buy a home in 12 months or less. It sets you up with the right game plan with clear, practical steps, and you only need to take 1 action step a month. There's no confusion, no gimmicks, just real results. And I know you might be thinking, dude, did you really say that most renters can buy a home in 12 months? If the playbook's that easy, then why isn't everybody teaching this? Greed. Realtors are trained that their ultimate goal is to work with sellers. And if you're going to work with buyers, you're only working with buyers that only can buy in the next 30 to 60 days. The industry ignores first-time home buyers in the crucial planning phase, 12, 18, 24 months out. They want you to do all the saving and planning and strategy all by yourself, all on your own. That way you show up to them as a quick and easy sale so they can get paid fast. This leaves renters who are 6 months, a year, or a couple years out totally in the dark, stuck with no one willing to offer some guidance, any guidance, and most importantly, to help them give them an organized plan that they can follow. So they end up just praying and saving money and hoping that that's going to do the trick someday way down the line. So at the beginning of my career, when I was helping first-time homebuyers in the very expensive Southern California market for 12 years before I got on the microphone here, I was helping them realize, oh my gosh, it's expensive and pretty difficult to buy a home here without any planning. It had to be extraordinary so you could figure out how you could buy a home, especially at our prices. And then in 2019, I started the podcast, and I've been sharing this same system nationwide. The Last Lease Ever. It's something that no one in the industry is doing. It shares practical, trackable steps in the planning phase and the pre-planning phase, months or years out. You're going to get the best results whenever it is that you figure out is best for you to buy. And of course, that's super important here in 2026. We've been watching home prices skyrocket since the pandemic. And then since 2023, interest rates have shot up over the last few years. But now there is some exciting news because as I record this in mid-January, interest rates are the lowest they've been in 3 years. So that's still not enough for people to feel really comfortable. So everybody across the country, not just people in Southern California or other high cost of living areas, they need a guided plan. It's not a course, it's not a webinar, it's not a PDF, and it's nothing that you have to pay for. This is a tested and verified plan. And even better, it's a pre-planned plan. We're talking things you do way before you get to the final phases of the last 2 or 3 months of buying a home. Here's your playbook. The Last Lease Ever focuses on 3 things. We call them the big 3: your credit score, your debt, and your savings. I understand there's a whole lot of talk about interest rates and down payments and home inspections and all kinds of other things about housing. But when you're in the planning, those are the 3: credit score, debt, and savings. You map out where you are, you set your goals, and then you create a clear roadmap, and we can give you easy monthly action steps, just something to check in on every 30 days. So you're going to build your roadmap with your coaches. That's your unicorn realtor and your lender. And remember, Those guys, no upfront fees for the coaching sessions. There's never any pressure to get you to buy a home as soon as you can so that they can get paid. Unicorns understand how the playbook works. They know how to build you a personalized 12-month blueprint, or even more than that if you need it. Their only goal is a championship for you on your best timeline. So the last lease ever starts with meeting your coaches. It's just 2 simple meetings, 45 minutes each, 90 minutes, and you build a plan for an entire year, something that's going to change your life. And then your coaches check in once a month just to make sure you're on track. That's it. With a right coach, it's not that complicated. You set up your goals for your big 3, the credit score, the debt, and the savings, the holy trinity of getting approved for the home that you want. And you do that starting on day 1. You're going to mark down your numbers where you are right now. That's your starting point. And then you're going to set target numbers, goals for each one. I tell people all the time to picture like 3 of those fundraising thermometers you see when people are trying to hit a target goal of money raised, and they color the thermometer in as they get donations. Well, in your 45-minute discovery meetings with your first-time homebuyer pros, that's where you're going to get your accurate starting point, coloring your thermometer to show exactly where you are right now with your credit score, your debt, and your savings. And then you create the goal number at the top of the thermometer. Now, this is where the coaching comes in. You're not going to be doing it by yourself. You're going to get expert guidance to assist you in setting not only the accurate numbers of where you are today, but the proper goal numbers for each category. That means instead of guessing, you can look at real numbers that realtors, lenders, and first-time homebuyers use every single day. And then through information here on the podcast and working with your unicorn pros, they're going to set you up some simple, practical action steps, real things you can do. And if you're starting at the beginning, there's great extra support here with the 7-step series on how to financially prepare to buy your home. That starts at episode 415. We'll put that in the show notes. So your last lease ever program is personalized to you, your journey, your numbers, your budget on your timeline. Set it up, monthly check-ins, and then you live your life. You do you, and breathe easy, confidently knowing that working in the background, you've got a plan in place that's working for you with the guidance of the best coaches in town. You know that you're leveling up because you've got professionals not only handing you the steps in the first place, but watching how those steps are working to get you the best results. No more guesswork. All you have to do is look at the thermometers. That's going to show you exactly where you are on your journey. A clear visual. Your progress is right there. Just look at your elementary school thermometer pictures. You can even print them out and color them in as you go. I suggest that you go over to your parents, your grandparents, your aunt and uncle's house and print them up there, because I know those older people are going to have a printer. And when they ask what you're doing, tell them, oh, I'm looking to save for a down payment for my house. Bam! That's when you guilt trip them to try to give you a little family help to help seed all your down payment and closing costs. Okay, how many of you came here today for some really in-depth financial planning stuff you don't hear anywhere else, and suddenly I'm talking to you about coloring in a kindergarten project? Don't stress. That's on purpose, gang. This is intentionally set to be simple in structure. And that's because you know what? Life's going to happen. And I want to make sure that nobody gets overwhelmed. But of course, there are many more variables than just the big 3 and this little coloring project. And I go into great detail in all of the other aspects of preparing to buy a home in the other podcasts. You are free to get as complex as you like with this, with all kinds of mathematical variables that can alter multiple aspects of how you're going to complete your own personal journey. This big 3, the last lease ever, the starting point coloring project. That's a starting point for everyone. If you want more details than that, check out the episode guide in the show notes and look for the titles that go much deeper into all the complexities of the financial planning, of the strategies, and creating the best options for yourself. You can get seriously hardcore in the podcast library if you want to. And over the years, I've seen several first-time homebuyers take their coloring thermometers digital. Well, maybe it's not exactly thermometers. It's just some crazy complex spreadsheet. And they're creating graphs and charts and budgeting scenarios for themselves and getting deeper into the overall planning. But no matter how you approach this, now you are armed with exactly what you can be doing today with professional trusted approval on the action steps. That is the secret sauce to buying a home. Now, the full pieces for the big 3, credit score, debt, and savings, they're laid out in the 10 steps that we set up every year. Those start at episode 400. And the big 3, credit score, debt, and savings, that's 403, 404, and 405. But let me give you some of the plays that you're going to find in the Last Lease Ever playbook, starting with the first one of the big three, credit score. You have over 28 different credit scores, and you need to check with a home mortgage lending professional, a first-time home buyer specialist, so they can tell you which of your credit scores will be the ones that the banks are going to be looking at when they're giving your approval. There's more information on that in episode 403, including tips you don't hear anywhere else. Another play for credit score in the playbook. When you're buying a home, you have to understand that your credit score affects everything, including the loan programs and options that are available to you, the fees on those, the costs on multiple different variables in buying a home, and even the amount that you get approved for your home purchase. So when you talk to your pros, set a realistic target for yourself. 720 is recommended to get better rates. 760 is the top. You can still get approved with a score as low as 580, but listen to 403 so you can work your way up. Their credit score approval from the banks, it goes in 20-point tiers. I go into detail in 403. That's really important information. And here's some other things that you should know from the playbook for your credit score. Learn how to use the credit score wheel or pie. Understand how that's sliced up and how to improve each slice. Learn about reducing credit utilization to the magic numbers that the credit bureaus are looking for. Learn about asking for credit limit increases to make your score go up. Learn about reporting your rent. This is huge. Report your rent to the credit bureaus. That's a big boost in your credit score. And of course, the ultimate credit score magic trick that I've been talking about here since 2019, an authorized user. If you can become an authorized user on a trusted member's credit card or one of their accounts, that will shoot your score up crazy. Again, it's all in 403. Number 2 of the big three, that's debt. We want you to learn about DTI. That's debt to income ratio. We want you to understand how to change your mindset and focus on your monthly debt number, not your total number, not your gross debts. And then we want you to set goals for each of your debt. And a very important side note, gang, most of the time, you don't have to pay off all of your debt to get approved for a loan. And I can tell you, I have thousands of stories where people have spent years paying their debt down to zero, and then they haven't built up their savings, and then they realize they have to build up their savings. Next thing you know, it's 2 years later, and they've wasted 2 years on rent when you could have had a balanced attack where you're reducing your debt but building your savings at the same time. That is really complex and a lot more than coloring, so that's where you need your coaches. And then the coaches will give you the plays so you can calculate how much debt you should strategically be paying to get to your goal for your best home loan approval. It's not about eliminating your debt so you live a free life. It's about reducing your debt for a home loan approval as your ultimate number one goal. And then also in the playbook, you are going to learn that student debt is not the anti-loan approval demon that it's been made out to be. We've had several homies buy their first home with $100,000, $200,000, even $300,000 worth of student debt. You just have to talk to the right coaches. For more info on debt, check out episode 404. And then comes the third one in the big three. That's your savings thermometer. Now, of course, as I said, there's a balancing act with your savings and your debt, so it goes hand in hand with that other thermometer. You're going to be building that strategy based on the balance. There's a comprehensive explanation of the debt and savings balance in episode 381. We're going to put that one in the show notes. Again, the last Lease Ever is a plan. You start it right away, and then you use all these other episodes as supplemental education so you feel even more informed as you're moving along the way. Between your knowledge and your support team's knowledge, your unicorn coaches, that's where you're going to decide exactly where your monthly money works the hardest. That's really cool that you don't have to figure that out all by yourself. So with savings, you're going to choose a home price goal. Could be 200, 400,000, 600,000, or $1 million. Now, once you choose that, I recommend choosing an 8% target number for your savings. What that is it's 8% of the purchase price, 5% for your down payment, and 3% for your closing costs. There are a bunch of programs where you're not going to even need this full 8%, but this is a good target percentage to shoot for when you're beginning so you can learn about all your potential options with your unicorn team while you're shooting for that 8%. And then what you do is you create a 12-month savings target. So let's say you're doing the $400,000 home. Target price, right? 8% of that, $32,000. That's 5% down for the payment and 3% for the closing costs. So you figure out how much can you save each month and when will you hit $32,000? And that creates your monthly system. And if you're doing 8% of $800,000, that's $64,000. You do the math yourself. It's 8% of the purchase price. And then another play in the playbook here is when you're working with your coaches, you're going to be looking at your starting points today. And then you're going to establish your monthly contributions, coloring in your thermometer until you hit that 8% at the top. And while you're doing that, you're going to be making sure that you plan for any bigger chunks of money that might come in. Bonuses at work, tax refunds, holiday gifts, etc. And I tell people all the time, once you have your thermometers and your last Lease Ever program set, start telling all your friends and family. In fact, tell them the day one that you get started on this. Tell them that the only presents that you want for anything, any birthdays, holidays over the next year, are contributions to your thermometers. I've even had people that set up a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe, and their family contributes to that. You'll be shocked at how many people, especially in today's economy, are willing to give some people support because housing affordability, it's on everyone's mind, and everybody understands this is the stability that you can get for your financial future. Okay, gang, that's the last Lease Ever. That's the playbook. That's it. But I want to make sure you understand that those first two meetings are crucial because everybody's playbook is going to look different throughout the season because nobody starts in the exact same place and finishes in the exact same target. This is all about you. And those first two meetings, that's where you set up a customized program for you and your best planning. Your support team's going to be there to guide you all along the way. They're going to give you your starting points, set up your goals, and they're going to be talking about not just the finances. They're going to be looking at your personal goals and your long-term overall dreams, how you want to do this, which means you're going to be putting together the personal with the financial. And that's the big difference when you're working with the right support team. Because number one, first and foremost, before you ever get into these specific numbers and action steps, to do this right, you're not just looking at a simple mathematical, hey, look, I see that based on your salary and your debt, you can buy a home. What we want to make sure that your team is talking to you about is, all right, buying a home, how does that fit into your overall goals? And how can we build a plan to achieve that goal, not just the goal of buying you a house? The last Lease Ever is a customized program built around you and your objectives. And in those first meetings, you're going to create everything that helps you get to the right goal numbers for you so you can get to your desired end result on your own timeline. That is the difference in working with a unicorn coaching staff. And that means you can move forward with confidence in your process, knowing that this is not only going to help you buy a home, but it's going to have an enormous positive impact on everything in your life. And the extra massive benefit that you get by connecting with a team that's willing to lay out a long-term plan with you is that as the housing market shifts and changes, which, gang, it is going to. I don't care if you have a 1-month plan or a 3-year plan. Things change weekly. Oh, and what about your life? Do you know exactly what's going to happen to your life in the next 12 months? No, there's going to be tons of shifts in the market and your life during this planning period. But you've got trusted professional advocates that are willing to help you out in the long game. And they're there to assist in implementing any adjustments, anything you need to do along the way to make sure that you're prepared for what happens in the future or to make sure that you're prepared to pounce and capitalize on any exciting changes, things that benefit first-time homebuyers, whether it's in the housing market or in your own life. Because changes can happen in your income, in life events. There might be new loan payment because changes can happen in your income or in your own personal life events. Or with the housing market, it could happen in new loan programs or new down payment options. Those change all the time. And obviously, of course, we're going to be looking at changes that happen in interest rates and home prices or housing market trends, especially in your area, because things are different all over the country right now. 2026, we're seeing a split market, seller's market in half of the country and a buyer's market in the other half. And you know what? We're also going to stay on top of things with you because you may have a fundamental change in your life goals. We've had several people that start with us and they're working with the unicorn for 6 months and suddenly job transfer or pregnancy. And sometimes that means, oh, we're going to wait another year. Sometimes it means we need to buy a house in the next 3 weeks. Or sometimes it means, hey, this was fun planning in Nashville, but now I need to buy a home in Seattle. Whatever it is, if your plan is started, having a team that is able to be nimble and flexible, that's super important. In fact, we have a lot of buyers right from the start that once they realize how easy the Last Lease Ever program is to set up and stay on task and follow, they actually create a couple different plans, plan A and plan B. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you that usually it's one partner who wants plan A and the other partner who wants plan B. But I'm going to warn you right now, a really good coaching staff and your realtor and lender advisors, they're only going to help you create the plans. So do not go looking for them to win an argument over which plan is actually the quote unquote better plan. The truth is, there's only one right way to do this, and that's your way. United with united goals. We ain't going to pick sides. You got to decide that amongst yourselves. And I told you this can get really complicated if you want to do that. There are people that create multiple different, we're talking A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You've got 12-month plan, 9-month plan, 6-month plan, 3-month super intense plan. That's great because the beauty of connecting with these advisors right from the beginning is that adjustments, hey, that's what the true professional advisors, that's all we do all day long, 24/7, every single day. That is the job. See what's happening, adjust, and find the best benefits for your buyers and sellers. Seriously, as I record this right now in January 2026, interest rates are the lowest they have been in 3 years. So there are buyers out there who plan to buy homes in the summer or fall of 2026, and they are reaching out to us right now, and they are moving up their plans because, one, their affordability formula has changed because interest rates have dropped, and two, they know that other buyers out there are seeing this crazy drop in interest rates, and they realize there's going to be more competition in the spring and summer. Where have they heard about that before? Oh, yeah, it was in the fall when I told you about the winter window of opportunity that was going to be happening at the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. So that's the cool thing about a Last Lease Ever. You have a dedicated team monitoring your goals, and they're going to tell you when changes happen so you can seize opportunities as they arise. And this playbook, the Last Lease Ever, this is just the beginning. This is where you start in your training camp. Your coaches are going to help you adjust mid-season throughout the housing market, but you're already going to be way ahead of the other buyers because the beauty of savvy, veteran coaching real estate advisors is that right from the start, you have a ton of plays that no one in the league is using. There are tactics to crush the opposition, like figuring out the lease buyout strategy. Starting the conversation early with your landlord, and you may be surprised at the options to get out of your lease. It might not be as bad as you think, and they might be happy to do it. And that might mean you could capitalize on advantageous buying conditions. They're going to help you out with the first mortgage payment timing trick. Oh, this is a huge one. You can leverage how when you start paying your mortgage, your first mortgage payment, that's paid in the rears. That means you can potentially skip an entire month of payments. It's going to be extra cash right when you need it at the beginning of you owning a home. They can help talk to you about seller credits, learning how to structure offers where you get cash from the seller to help with their closing costs. They can talk to you about assumable mortgages to get these ridiculous 3% interest rates. They could talk to you about loan credits and down payment assistance programs and grants. Some of those you can use multiple times and stack on top of each other. I think in the past 6 months, I've done interviews with people that have bought homes, $300,000 and $400,000 homes for $120.95 all in. So they were saving 8%. But because they use down payment assistance programs and grants, $120.95. And a single mom, hers was, I think it was $31.25. That was my girl, Shanta. Great interview. Go find that in the podcast episode guide. In fact, when you go in the episode guide, you're going to see all kinds of things. You're going to find out that all coaching staffs are not created the same. Episode 437 gives you the details on how to get the best coaching staff for you in your area. Unicorns, they're going to be the best ones and on top of the first-time homebuyer market every single day. So they're going to be able to shape your plan correctly and be able to offer you all of the programs that are happening in your local area. I highly encourage that you continue your free education while you're connecting with your unicorns. I mean, going back to the sports metaphor, that's really simple. The athletes who study the playbook and work hard, they, when they get coached, end up doing the best jobs in the game. Both people are working at the same time. So part of your training is go in the episode guide and listen to some more stuff. It's like doing extra drills if you're an athlete or spending time in the weight room, running at 4:00 in the morning in the dark before the team starts practice. That way, you know, when the coach calls the play, you're going to be confident and ready because knowledge is power. The playbook and your coaches give you that power. Now you do your part to boost it even more, and you're going to be on your way to a championship run. When people ask me about the playbook and ask me if it really works, that's the part where I get a little funky. I always want to slow down a little bit because I don't ever want to sound like it's a pressure thing. I've got to be very straight up about this. The earlier that you understand the playbook and understand what working with a coaching staff can do for you, understanding that when you find people that are going to work for you for free with your best interest in mind, then the better off this is going to go for you, period. This playbook should be given to every first-time home buyer, and I know it's not. And in this tougher first-time home buyer environment right now, the knowledge gap, because people aren't taught this, it's costing people years of progress. Information and a clear planning strategy, that's your highest form of leverage, even higher than low prices or low interest rates. And the sooner that more renters have this, the stronger their position becomes. This should be common knowledge, and instead, it's hidden by bad advice and, unfortunately, louder voices out there than me, even though I think my ass is pretty loud. So with all that in mind, let me explain why the rent replacement strategy in the Last Lease Ever playbook is the solution for buying in this new economy. Number one, most realtors think that first-time home buyers suck. They think you suck energy, time, money. And so the industry intentionally offers first-time home buyers the weakest, undertrained, and unqualified licensed agents, absolutely said with sarcastic air quotes. So my best tip is go out and get the best coaches. Grab people who are unicorn or unicorn level. And if you want to find one on your own, great, or you can ask me for the vetted people that I have. Now, that is my top tip after 20 years of coaching first-time home buyers. Grab yourself a coaching staff early. Get the free coaching. I can't say it any more clearly than that. And like I said, do it on your own or ask me for a unicorn. If you want one here, they're rare. There are over 3 million licensed real estate agents, and I've only personally vetted and endorsed 300 unicorns. So that's 0.01%. A true unicorn coaching staff, they don't care when you buy. They care how you buy. Number two, check your sources when you're getting your real estate team. I've been coaching first-time home buyers for 20 years, and I started this podcast because I was depressed and disgusted at how few people in the industry were educating first-time home buyers with anything even close to this playbook. I realized it's because nobody wanted to work that hard to lay out the playbook, the planning. They just wanted slam dunk buyers, quick paydays. So I grabbed a microphone, and here we are. If you're still wondering how this all works, check my track record. There are hundreds of podcasts and YouTube videos throughout every single different kind of housing market. And there are forecasts, predictions, and guidance on the optimum ways of how to take advantage of each one. It's all there, transparent as a ghost. I simply want to rise the level of education that people get and share opportunities for first-time home buyers to drastically change the trajectory of the lives of renters. I'm not here to try to sell a webinar. And number four about the Last Lease Ever, this is not me advising you. It's the math. The math is overwhelming. Check out episode 355, Rent versus Buy, lays the whole thing out. I can tell you that every 5 years, no matter the market, up or down, renters look back at me and think, man, I wish I could have bought 5 years ago. And the bummer is most of them could have, but they just didn't know about this playbook. The more years that you replace your rent in a mortgage, the less time you are as a renter and the more time you are as a homeowner, that's what people regret because the magic is in that time. So the sooner anybody can buy with a rent replacement strategy, the more wealth and options they have later on. And this playbook, it isn't created to just check and see what you can qualify for today. Let's get it going. Bang, bang, bang. No, this is about making a plan to make the best move for yourself when it's most beneficial for you. I've told you guys, I happen to know that the math is right for most of you out there. How do I know it's most? Well, I don't just say those things. I know the math. 72% of the renters that have come to How to Buy a Home and say that they want to start planning because they're going to be ready to buy a home in 12 to 18 months, when they work the playbook with the right coaches, they're under contract in 3.2 months. And finally, my last piece of advice for using the playbook is it's just a plan. Nobody's forcing you to buy a home. This is a plan. You can adjust it. You can extend it to 5 years if you want to. Or you know what? You can bail on a plan anytime. It's just a plan. And what's the worst thing that happens if you're following a plan and decide to bail on it? Oh, your credit score went up, your debt went down a little bit, and you have good savings. Awesome. I don't care if you buy a house, that's still putting you in a better situation for your life. 2024 and 25 were the worst in history for first-time home buyers. Number dropped by like 30%, 38%, and the average age jumped to all the way to 40 years old. Yet, we still had hundreds of people that succeeded here in how to buy a home by working this playbook. And guess what? At the end of 2025, it looks like 2026 prices are going to be flat and interest rates are even lower. So people succeeded in 2025 and you have better options to do so in 2026. And now that you know that, let me tell you the exact same thing that I've been telling everybody since 2019. The same thing that I told the over 100 people that are the interviews that you can hear right here on the podcast, Renters Term Homeowners, in the episode guide that'll be in the show notes. Here it is. As a homeowner, your time in the market is going to gain you more wealth than trying to time the market for the perfect buy. So I don't like putting this word on it because it sounds like one of those pressure idiots. But if you go and listen to everything else I've ever done, you'll understand it. Starting your last lease ever right now in 2026 with this funky economy, it's urgent. The sooner you start this journey, the sooner that most of you are going to realize you can do this. And then the sooner that you're going to be able to pick your best option on your timing to get a piece in this game. The government's manipulating the way everything's going, and they're going to keep trying to do it to make everybody feel comfortable with affordable housing. And so you need a piece in that game for real, stable wealth. Because a homeowner has financial options that no renter can ever even dream of. Don't wait until everything feels perfect to start your plan. It's just a plan. You can bail anytime you want to. But what you can't do is build it if you haven't started it. So start now. Because the only way to beat this system of a crazy, funky economy and continual skyrocketing rents is to get off the hamster wheel and lock in your cost of living right now with a mortgage that doesn't go anywhere. And the data's in, gang. 72% of people did this a full year sooner than they thought was even possible. You are likely a lot closer than you think. And this entire podcast, the building of the playbook, it's my labor of love. It's my chance to give back to you, to give you how to buy homies out there a fair shake, because this system, it's disrespectful to you and it ignores you. So now, why don't you go ahead and get double the support? You've got me, the episode guide with the titles and everything that you ever need to know about buying a home. You can keep educating yourself in your ear holes as much as you want. But now you can add your coaching staff to help you build a very specific, practical program for you to work on the big three. So the mission here, it's you. And the playbook, it's ready. We just need you to get started. And we're going to keep giving you education, clarity, and action steps you can track. So let's go, team. No excuses. Stop waiting for prices to crash or waiting for 3% interest rates or saving for a perfect 20% down payment. Those are myths. And don't even get me started on PMI. That's the worst myth of all. These fears, they keep you stuck. The real move, let's start your training camp today. No matter how far down the line you think it's going to be before you're ready, start planning today. And then you can act whenever you want to because you're going to be set up to do it correctly, with far superior options to everyone else out there who's scrambling. And the next time they get a rent increase, they go, oh crap, I got to buy a home today. Now, if you want this information, just go to howtobuyahome.com and ask for your unicorn planning and support team. Book a couple of meetings, get your action steps, set up your thermometers, and grab your crayons and start coloring and change your life. 99% of capable realtors in the industry, they don't want to work this hard to work on the planning like this. They don't see the value in that. Fine. Then all you have to do is work with the 0.01% that do see value in this and see value in you. And you're going to be the one showered in confetti at the end of the game, holding the championship trophy. Or if you're not a sports ball person, fine. Accepting your Tony or your Oscar or your Nobel Peace Prize or whatever trophy means the most to you. To me, it's a house, but I can't say holding a house because that's really big and heavy. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuy.com to get started.